This is 7.2, Solving Linear Systems by Substitution. This whole chapter pretty much is about systems, so it's nice to remember what a system is. Linear systems are two or more equations with the two variables. So you're going to be looking at x and y equations like that. This is just another method to solve them. Yesterday you guys learned how to graph. Today we're not graphing. Today we're using a method called substitution. And here's how you do that. First thing you do is you solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Get one of the variables by itself. It doesn't matter if it's an x or a y. Get one of the variables by itself. Once you have one of the variables by itself, we're going to substitute that expression into the other equation. Basically, we're doing a plug-in. And then once you do that, you'll get a value and we'll plug it into the, we'll plug it in to be able to solve it. So let me show you what this is going to look like. So you have a system, x equals negative 2y plus 2 and 3x plus y equals 16. What we need to do first is get one equation to have one variable by itself. Well, looking at equation 1, they have a variable by itself. They say that x equals this expression, negative 2y plus 2. So this value of x is the same thing as that value of x. So we know that x has that value of negative 2x plus 2. But the other equation's value of x is the exact same thing. So in the equation 3x plus y equals 16, this x is the same thing as this x. So what we can do is take this expression for what x equals and plug it in. So now instead of 3 times x, it's 3 times negative 2y plus 2. That's what that x is, and then plus y equals 16. So what we did is instead of the x, we put what x equals from the other equation. Basically, you took what x equals and you plugged it in. Now that we have that, we can solve for plus y equals, now we're going to be able to solve for the value of y. So this is negative 5y plus 6 equals 16, and y equals negative 2. You have one value of your ordered pair. We know that y equals negative 2. So what we're going to do is take that value of y and we're going to plug it back into an equation to solve for it. Now, you should go back to a different equation than what you used to find. So we used equation 2 here to solve for this. So to find x, we should use equation 1. P.S. It doesn't matter. Just a little secret. But so in equation 1, we had equation 1 is x equals negative 2y plus 2. But now we know that y equals negative 2. So x actually equals negative 2 times negative 2 plus 2. So that means that x equals 4 plus 2. X equals 6. We now have the x value and we have the y value. So you now have your solution. Yes, now we have our solution. X is 6, y is negative 2. Here's my answer, my ordered pair of 6, negative 2. Make sure you go back and kind of do a quick check that that works. So 6 equals plus 2, and that one does work. And 3 times 6 plus negative 2 equals 16. I'm taking equation 1 and plugging it in, taking equation 2, plugging it in. And here's 18 plus negative 2, and that is 16. This is the one ordered pair that works in both equations, and we didn't have to graph. So let me show you how to do this again. Example 2, we're going to solve this system. We're going to find the ordered pair. Oops, x and y, you know what I mean. We're going to find the ordered pair that works for both of these equations. I've got 4x minus 2y equals 14, and 2x plus y equals negative 3. Using substitution, I need to get one variable by itself. But let's make this easy on ourselves. Which one is the easiest one to get by itself? It's going to be the y in equation 2, because the only thing I need to do to get the y by itself in equation 2 is to subtract 2x from both sides. So y actually equals negative 2x minus 3. And I'm going to take that expression and plug it in to the other equation. So now instead of y, I'm doing negative 2 times negative 2x minus 3. The reason that we go about doing it this way is because looking at this equation, do you notice that there's only one variable? We're going to be able to solve for the value of x. And we're replacing y with the exact same thing it equals. So we're not doing any fancy math here. Plus 6 equals 14. And all we go now is to solving equations. We solve for that value of x. 8x plus 6 equals 14. And x equals 1. You now have one coordinate. You know in your ordered pair that your x coordinate is 1. To find your y coordinate, we're going to take that 1, if value of x, and plug it into a different equation. So we used equation 1 to solve this. Let's plug the 1 into equation 2. So 2 times, and now instead of x, I've got 1, plus y equals negative 3. So now that means that y has to equal negative 5. Now we have our ordered pair. Our answer is x value is 1, the y value is negative 5. And there is my one ordered pair that works in both equations. Now let's quick do a mental check that this works. 4 times my x, which is 1, would be 4, minus 2 times my 5 times my negative 5 would be 10, and that equals 14. 2 times my 1 is going to be 2, plus my negative 5, that's going to give me negative 3. This ordered pair works in both equations. There's my answer. Same thing. Solve the linear system using the substitution method. This is your checkpoint. Notice I already have y all by itself, so I'm going to take that and plug it in for the value of y. 5x minus 4 times 6x plus 5 equals negative 1. And I'm going to solve for my value of x now. Now, you guys have been through a lot of solving equations. You should be able to do this extremely quickly and be able to tell me that x equals negative 1. I'm going to be able and be confident if you guys start kind of showing fewer steps as you're solving. You should always show the substitution step. Here's our step for solving, and then getting your value of x. Now that I have my value of x, I plug it back into the other equation. And honestly, any equation works. If you plug your value of x into any equation, you're going to get it. So that means y equals negative 1 as well. So my answer, my ordered pair, is negative 1, negative 1. That's my x value and my y value. And let's double check to make sure that's the right answer. So in equation 1, 5 times my x minus 4 times my y equals negative 1, and that is true. And negative 1 equals my 6 times negative 1 plus 5, and that's true as well. Do a quick mental check that it works in both equations, but on your homework, you should be showing me, well, your equation by itself, your substitution, and your answer for x, and then your substitution and answer for the other one before you give me that answer there. That's why I'm not making you show me a check on everything, is because you do have a lot to do. So I'm going to run through this checkpoint pretty quickly. Now here, it really doesn't matter which one I solve for. Notice I am skipping a few steps, but you guys should be masters at this now and should be able to skip a few steps. My answer for my ordered pair, my x value is 3, my y value is 2. Let's check to make sure that that actually works. 3 plus 2 is 5. That works in the first one. And 7 times 3 would be 21 minus 18, and that equals 3. So we are good in both equations. Now, story problems, just as before, these are going to be your rate or mixture. So these are, of course, added. Okay. A food cooperative is a business that usually offers special prices on locally grown foods and produce. Some cooperatives are clubs and others are retail stores. This is kind of like Sam's and Costco. The weekly costs for seasonal produce offered by a club-based and store-based food cooperative are shown in the table. Find the number of weeks at which the total cost will be the same. So X is going to be our weeks and Y is going to be our total cost. Look at what they're giving us. They're giving us a club fee. There's your initial fee. And they're giving us a cost per week. Here's my slope. Here's my y-intercept. This is a rate equation. And my equation for being in a club is using this information. The club is going to have a total cost of $15 per week plus $20. And then my retail store is going to be using this information. And my cost for my retail store is $17.50 per week. So now that I have my two equations, notice that y is already by itself. I'm going to take the answer for y in one equation and plug it into the other. So 15x plus 20 equals 17.5x. And now I just need to solve for x. I have an x on both sides. Subtract 15x and 20 equals 2.5x. Divide both sides by 2.5 and you come up with 8. If x is my 8 and 8 is my number of weeks, we've already got how many weeks? We just need to find the total cost. So I can plug it into any equation. So y equals 15 times my 8 weeks plus my $20, and that's 120 plus 20, my y is $140. So my ordered pair answer would be 8, 140, where it would take 8 weeks for them to be even, and they would pay, gosh, why can't I write this word? And they would pay $140. That's what this would mean. So let's take a look at this one. A chemist needs 15 liters of a 60% alcohol solution. The chemist has a solution of 50% alcohol. How many liters of the 50% alcohol solution and pure or 100% alcohol solution should the chemist mix together to make 15 liters of a 60% alcohol solution? Doesn't sound like there's any rate in here. This sounds all mixture. And I need a total of 15 liters and a mixture of 60%. So X is going to equal, I've got a 50% mix and I've got a 100% mix. So one equation's about how many liters, and I guess these are liters of 50% mix and liters of 100% mix. So my how many liters, my X plus Y equals 15, because the number of liters for the 50% and the number of liters for the 10%, I've got 15 total liters. And my alcohol solution, well, 50% mix is like 0.5, half of the X, and then a pure Y is 100% or 1, and I need that to equal 60%, which is 0.6. And then we solve it like we did before. And let's get one of the values by itself. It really doesn't matter which one. 15 minus y, I might regret this. So 0.5x, and instead of x, I'm going to write 15 minus y. And this is minus da-da-da-da-da. So 0.5y equals, okay, So notice that this is going to give me a negative answer. So negative, what, 6.9. And there is no way to have negative 13.8 liters. So this doesn't make sense for an answer. You could even say that there is no possible way or no solution here. Here is your homework for 7.2. Enjoy.